Greetings and welcome to the course Criminal Justice Dimensions of Genocide. I'm your instructor, Dr. Mark Winton, and what I'd like to do in this video is just to kind of introduce you to the course. All the material is online, and I will be posting material as we progress, although you have some of the introductory material already available. You'll find the syllabus on the home page, and also the information on the syllabus regarding the textbook and also other material. So I would highly recommend reading the syllabus over in detail. One thing, when I start this course, if we were in the classroom, I would ask the following questions, and so I would ask you to think about these questions. Why did you decide to take this course? What reason, or reasons I should say. And then I ask myself, why did I decide to teach this course? And I think that question may be answered by the end of the course. And what do you hope to gain from the course? And what is it that I would like you to gain from this course? And again, I think I'll answer that question at the end of the course. So these are actually good questions to think about now as you start the course, and then to begin to proceed through the course if indeed you're gaining the information and materials and knowledge that you wanted to obtain, and then looking back at the course, how you'll use it in the future. We also can think about some of the problems in the field of criminal justice itself, one being that the study of genocide has been very much neglected, and it's very rare to find criminal justice professionals studying genocide, and very rare to have courses from criminal justice departments on genocide. What you'll find is that there are a lot more genocides that have occurred than we will have time to cover in the class, and that's just the reality of the time constraints that we have. So if I leave out genocides, it's not because I don't recognize them or think they're important, not at all. It's because we simply didn't have time. The ideal situation would be to have 2 genocide courses and have them, for example, pre-1950 and then post-1950. But I don't think that's going to happen too soon. I'm very happy that my department has been kind enough to let me teach the genocide course. Also, we'll find that this course is very interdisciplinary, and we'll be using research and materials from other professions. Also, we'll clearly note throughout the semester that there are many topics that could lead to heated discussions and debates, and there may be high levels of emotional intensity when we cover some of the materials. A few comments about my own background. I have degrees in psychology, counseling, and sociology, and I worked in the forensic mental health field for a number of years, and have published in the areas of psychotherapy, sex crimes, interpersonal violence, homicide, torture, and genocide. I actually started studying genocide in 2001 after many years of already having taught courses on crime, delinquency, and sexuality, and the like. I did want to mention that my psychology degree and my Master's of Arts in Applied Sociology are from the University of Central Florida, so I'm very happy to let you know that I am an alumni of UCF. And then I proceeded to get my doctorate in sociology at the University of Connecticut. Throughout the course, we'll see several themes reemerge again and again. For example, the agency versus structure debate. Really, regarding the whole idea of how it is possible that people organize to kill other people at such large degrees, and what are the influential institutional factors, and what are the influential factors related to an individual's personality or small groups organization. And so we'll go back and forth between micro and macro level analysis, looking at smaller groups and interaction versus large institutional structures. We'll also use some comparative case studies and of perpetrators and also of genocides. And we'll look at different relationships within and between groups. And we'll start thinking about different categories that we use, for example, victim, perpetrator, bystander. And we'll also look at the ongoing debates regarding the definitions, and also at some point we'll address the concept of evil, and in fact how we might measure evil and how we can use that concept in the courtroom. The editors of your textbook have really set it up in a nice way to answer several questions about each genocide. For example, who committed the genocide? How was the genocide committed? Why was the genocide committed? Who were the victims? Who was involved? And what were the historical forces and trends at work that led to the genocide? And what was the long-range impact of the genocide? What have been the responses? What is the agreement and disagreement among scholars regarding the genocide? And do people seem to care about the genocide today? And what does a study of this particular genocide contribute to the field of genocide studies? So the editors and the authors of the chapters focus on those questions, those central themes that we'll see. I did want to mention a little bit about definitions and types of genocide as we begin the course. For example, in 1944, Raphael Lemkin coined the term genocide really by combining genos, meaning a nation, tribe, or race, with cide, the killing. And then we see the United Nations Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide was constructed in 1948. And if we look at the Genocide Convention definition, it's acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group, as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily injury or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life, calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. And we might ask, what is missing from the Genocide Convention definition? And then we also see that we run into the issue of what does intent mean. And according to Dr. Fine, a sociologist, intent is purposeful action, or for that matter, inaction. And Dr. Fine has a different definition of genocide that I have on the PowerPoints. Genocide is sustained purposeful action by a perpetrator to physically destroy a collectivity directly or indirectly through interdiction of the biological and social reproduction of group members, sustained regardless of the surrender or lack of threat offered by the victim. And that's from her book, Genocide, A Sociological Perspective. Chalk and Johansson, in their history and sociology of genocide, discuss several types of genocide. For example, genocides may be committed to eliminate a real or potential threat, to spread terror among real or potential enemies, to acquire economic wealth, or to implement a belief, a theory, or an ideology. And then we have on the PowerPoint some other types of genocides proposed by Harf and Gurr, and you can take a look at those. And we'll also begin to think about how governments, how other nations define genocide. In other words, how do we know genocide is occurring? And we hear that term thrown about in the media constantly, sometimes used very inappropriately, sometimes in very strong debates, and other times we see the political aspects of it. For example, if politicians label something genocide and determine a genocide is occurring, then there's obligations by nations to take action to do something. So that's certainly something that we need to consider. And then finally, I think what's of interest today and has been, and really I think we're beginning to see some of this overlap of the research and methodologies and ideas between genocide and terrorism. And so we may even see that whole idea begin to emerge, where there's actually another category, a terror genocide type scenario that combines genocide and terrorism. And we use the research and the theories from genocide studies and terrorism studies to integrate and get a better understanding of these mass murders. And this ends this particular video. Thank you.